Hey, everybody, it's Thursday.
And almost Friday. Welcome to this week's edition of The Night Bite.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Emily. And this is actually not just this week's edition. This is this week's second edition. Because with each of these episodes leading up to the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo, we will be coming to you not just Thursday, but also Tuesday to be talking about all kinds of great things. Sometimes it's a product, sometimes it's a guide, sometimes it's a place, sometimes it's, I don't even know. I can't even think of all the things that are going to be at the expo. But that's why we spent some time recently talking with Don Kirby, because we hit on almost everything that is going to be there. Look through the map a little bit and all kinds of other good stuff. So if you missed that episode, make sure to scroll on back and watch that as well, because here tonight, we're going to be talking about some specific things. But before we get to that, we always start with a fishing report. And I guess one of the things, well, I'm going to jump way too far ahead. I was going to say about our fishing report, I'm really excited for this weekend of fishing. And part of the reason is because it's going to be some really great weather. So a little bit unusual for October to have temperatures this nice. And hopefully it's not going to be too windy. I guess I haven't checked that. But what I know about last weekend's fishing is that there was a whole bunch of rain and a whole bunch of wind. And so not a lot of fishing. So the fishing that we did get to do, honestly, the bite was a little bit tough. We were finding that we were downsizing, and at that point, fish were kind of reacting like it was a cold front and not just a fall bite. So I'm looking forward to this weekend and having some sunshine, hopefully having those fish biting. But I've got to admit to you that it's going to be a little bit hard to predict what that bite pattern is going to be, because I don't actually expect it to be a fall pattern yet, or do you?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've had plenty of cool nights and the same amount of cool days. You know, we've had the last few days have barely reached 55 degrees. So when the water temp is warmer, it doesn't take long for those, especially those small lakes, to kind of cool off. And yeah, I think we're gonna have I'm gonna start out with big baits this weekend and work my way down, I think, because those fish, I think, are going to be feeling the fall coming on. And what's the old saying? Wind from the south blows the bait in their mouth. So we're going we're going to go 3 inches, baby. That's what we're doing. We're throwing 3-inch baits for bluegills. That's what I'm doing. That's my plan.
Oh my goodness. But you are making a good point, though, about the nighttime temperatures. We have had conditions that are not just into the cool or cold temperatures. We have been freezing. Like some of these nights, I have had to straight scrape the car on my way to work.
Oh yeah, I ripped my work tomato plant out of the ground because it was just flat this morning. So
and those super cold conditions at night definitely affect the water conditions, brings down those temperatures, and the fish do definitely notice that. So you're probably onto a good point, and that's why we both talk about this here together. If anybody else is using 3-inch baits this weekend, hit me up, because I'm interested in hearing that. If you're not, let us know your water temperatures. Let us know if you're fishing or what you're fishing for, because we're interested in that. Otherwise, I think we are going to move on to our guest of honor. I have hiccups all of a sudden. Matt, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
How's it going, Matt?
Hey guys, thanks for having me again.
So it's funny that you say again, because I prepared you for how we were going to start the show. This is not that. I'm sorry. But I
setting
feel
you up, man.
No, but I feel equally, dare I say, nervous to talk to you each time that we have you on. And this is why. It's because I feel like electronics is one of those things, and batteries and powering devices is one of those things that people know least about. I don't want to offend our listeners, but I'm saying that about myself. There's so much new technology. There are so many little nuances. There are so many things that change year to year to year. And that's why you're like, have us on again. And I'm like, this is still brand new stuff. So, I mean, I guess before we dive too far in, can you maybe introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself and Amped.
Yeah. So I'm Matt with Amped Outdoors. obviously we've been around, I think now, I should have done the math, but it's been over 7 years. This is like our 8th ice season, where we started off as a lithium battery company just for ice fishing electronics. And we have grown so much since then to obviously larger batteries that we're now well known for. But a little bit about myself. I mean, I got into the industry and created this product lineup many years ago just simply because I like to be on the ice. In fact, I'd say, if I had a choice, ice fishing, open water, I would probably take ice fishing. It's one of those things, once you get in the industry, you don't, like in my case, I don't get out on the water enough. So I have other hobbies, RC car racing, which uses lithium batteries, and, done some other things. Plus I've, had a, grow in the family a little bit since then. So I spend a lot of time with the kids as they're growing up. So that takes up my my spare time. But my full-time role is creating this product for you, the consumer, trying to really enhance that experience out on the water, whether it's, lightweight technology, something that will last you all day, all weekend out on the ice, just make your fishing experience a little bit easier and memorable. That's what we're here for. So we can definitely discuss a lot about that. But this is my favorite time of year in fall. So I like it when temperatures cool down. I'm not a warm weather guy. I like to wear my vests and my jackets, and say you can always put on more clothes. It's hard to take, you can only take so much off in the summer, right? my cold weather. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not really too far north. So we're in Hudson, Wisconsin, which is just east of Minneapolis, St. Paul. We had a couple of nights this week into the 20s, which was great. So that's really helping cool things down.
Okay, so I love as you go through all of that. One of the things that you mentioned and then quickly brushed off is about the RC cars. Why I'm bringing that up, because it seems random, is because actually it reminds me of, well, I was going to say the first time we met, which is not true. It's not. But the first time that we visited you, and so I hope it's okay to share the story, but I'm going to, and here it'll connect all the way back around, I promise. So what happens is we were actually, I think, visiting Stryker, to be honest. And so you said Hudson, and so that's that same location. So that's where that connection is. And so we're like, oh, we were going to drop by you too. And I guess I can't even remember why at this point. There was a reason at the time, but we dropped by. And so you had this really cool shop, which I think now at this point you've grown out of it, all of that, which is funny, because at that point there was still extra space. But you had a whole shelf designated to be honest, a bunch of batteries that you had dissected. And I don't think it was something that you like meant to have out. And Josh and I were like super interested. And you were like, oh yeah, that. Like you were rude, but it was clearly not what we were there to see. But we were interested. And the reason is because this is where it comes back to the RC cars, is because you are an expert in the field. You are using these batteries in all of these different ways, doing all of these unique things. And so I hate to start this whole show with the why of Amped Outdoors, but this is for me why I love talking to you, is like, there's tons of batteries out there. And I'm sure like some or most of them are like good or great. I don't know. But when I'm coming to Amped Outdoors, every single time I think of you and I think of being in that shop, and I think of you being that person who is able to dissect a battery and know what makes a good battery and a bad battery, or like battery versus great. And so when we come down to like the expertise and like the knowledge, that's why I started the show. And I said, I always get nervous to talk to you, is because you are the expert. Like, all of this stuff. And that's why I always come back, is because that's like that guarantee of the great product.
Yeah, we're constantly learning, and as technology changes, and it changes pretty fast. And I think here in the U.S. we're a little bit behind, I think, the rest of the world in a lot of different technologies, but batteries, we're one of the last ones to adapt lithium into many applications, and we're still behind, I think, the rest of the world in a lot of this stuff. So it's really intriguing to me. And we've changed a lot since that first time that we met, when we had, I think it was a 3,000 square foot warehouse. Now it wasn't even that. Now we're like 4 times that size for a warehouse. We keep adding on to it. And I still have that dissected section of the building where, we've ripped apart everything. There's new technology people hear about. You see it pop up on your, I don't know, probably not like me where I get it all the time because I'm always searching battery stuff, and researching battery stuff. But with sodium ion batteries and all that, I mean, we've got kind of a full section here where we've dissected everything, kind of played around with it. We just want to stay cutting edge. I think that's really important, today, but also put out there a product that's affordable, easy to use, that is safe, and really try to make it as easy to use for the consumer, because it can definitely be intimidating when looking at this stuff, because although I work with it every single day, I understand the ins and outs of it. What is an amp hour, and there's so much conflicting information out there, and we're just constantly trying to really educate the consumer just to make sure that you know what you're getting, what to expect, but we really want to enhance that experience of the consumer.
So maybe actually that's a perfect place to, I was going to say, start this conversation now that we're like 10 minutes in. But, I think that's an important part about, especially when we're talking Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo or any expo coming up, is that there's so many people that they're like, oh, I'm going to come to, lithium battery booth, amp outdoors booth, whatever it is. But then I think so often people don't know the questions even to ask, and then they maybe kind of avoid the table. So the person who doesn't know where to start, how do they start the conversation?
Yeah, I mean, just come up to us or go to our website. If you're interested in a lithium battery, don't know what you need. I mean, really, when you go to our website, the first thing you see is our video and article how-to section, where you could go in, and if you're just looking for ice fishing electronic stuff, on our ice fishing electronic stuff on our website, we've got an operating time chart. So, if you want a battery for your Vexlar or your Hummingbird or your forward-facing sonar, it's listed on there, and we've got all the different battery lineups. It'll tell you how long they'll last, so you can go there, and we've got a lot of good stuff. I just released 6 new videos in the last couple of weeks, just on educational stuff, how to choose the right battery, what they're for. But, when you go to a show, definitely come up. We've got a pretty good knowledgeable staff at the events, and just tell us what you have and we'll start talking. I mean, our guys will talk fishing, they'll talk, whatever. But they'll, just tell us what you have and what you want to do, and we'll pair you up with the right stuff. It's actually pretty simplistic. So, there's a battery for everybody out there. I know we have a lot of options, so it can get confusing, but reach out to us and use our tools, and we'll get you into the right stuff.
So you have a whole bunch of fun stuff in front of you. Can you give us some highlights about maybe common products or things that people might be looking at?
Yeah. So not a whole lot change for those of you that know us from last year to this year. You might see that we're transitioning to green tops. It's just more of a cosmetic thing, not really the battery itself. We did come out with a 52 amp hour battery, which is this is pretty much the only new item this last year. It's 52 amp hour. It's the highest capacity battery in its size. So this is for your forward facing sonar. Always one of our more popular ones. This replaced the 48 amp hour battery. So, weighs in about 7 pounds, and something like this typically gets you a full weekend on the ice for those heavy users of the forward facing sonar. I know we talked a lot about, or you see a lot about forward facing sonar out there. Everybody running their Garmin live scopes and their Hummingbird, Mega Lives and Lowrance, active targets. We've got some pretty awesome solutions to keep you running all weekend. I know that's usually what consumes most of our Q&As, phone calls, emails, people asking about forward-facing stuff. But, there's still need out there for the traditional flasher. I'm never going to get rid of my flasher unless something better comes out, right? But, nice and lightweight, less than 2 pound battery, little 8 amp hour battery, 15 amp hour battery that we have.
Don't worry, they're durable.
Yeah, they're durable. They're light. They're not. We've been known to throw these at people at the show so they can see how light they are. But no, we've got a.
Do they just think it's like a dummy test model then?
right? A lot of times people do. They think, oh, there's nothing inside of that. But yeah, this weighs in under 2 pounds and will last longer than a lot of your, 5-pound lead acid batteries that are out there today. So,
okay, so I was laughing about that
Yep.
with actually the larger battery that you picked out, because then what you did is you held it directly straight out at the camera.
Yep.
And why I'm laughing is because if that was a traditional battery, like that would be so heavy. You would not be able to hold it out with one arm like that. Yeah, look at that. So I know it's kind of a ridiculous demonstration, but I was just laughing at the fact that that battery is that big and that it is so easy to just hold directly out with one arm like that, because how light these batteries are. It is, I always tell the story. I'm sorry for the people who have heard it now, but the first time that Josh switched my Vexlar from a traditional battery to an amp battery, I was out on the ice. I lifted out of the sled and I was literally upset. I thought that the battery was not in it. I thought it was like brought a dead unit. And then he looked at me and then it like turned on and I was like, oh my God. But it really, like you're saying, is that dramatic. And so there's no way to convey that to the viewers at home. And I guess that's one of the great things about the expo.
Yeah. Yeah. Come by. We have all these batteries out. You can pick them up, touch them, feel them. We've got some demo units that we'll have there. We'll have our large batteries at the Wisconsin Expo. We'll have that. In fact, most of the shows we're going to be at this year will have some of our larger batteries, because I know we oftentimes get asked about that. Even in the winter, people want them for their boats or even powering electronics in your ice houses. So all of our larger batteries that we carry, and I should have had one with me here, but they all have built-in heated functions. So, with our charger, if you have a battery in the ice house and you leave it in there for the week and you go back on Friday and you need to charge it off your generator, you can plug in a generator to, say, our charger to charge that battery up to power your ice house, where you can't do that with a lot of traditional batteries. They don't charge below freezing. So we added that functionality this year to all of our large battery packs. So that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, that's really, really neat. We've got a very wide selection of different batteries. And for your ice fishing electronics, I don't think we have one. And everything here is going to be 7 pounds or less, and that's important when you're out, on the ice, because if you're hole hopping with a traditional flasher, having a 2-pound battery versus a 5-pound battery makes a huge difference while hole hopping. Or, the forward-facing sonars, I mean, they're big and bulky enough. And if you can shut off 5 to 7 pounds on those running something like this, or even some of these other smaller guys, that makes a big difference, especially if you're carrying that out first ice. You want to have as lightweight and portable as possible. So we've come up with a lot of solutions to do that and really kind of change the industry, as we were the first ones to do that really back in 2018, when forward-facing sonar just started kind of hitting the market, and we came out with their full battery lineup. So we've definitely got something for everybody, and lightweight is important on the ice. And this year, I will say, you heard it from me first. No, we're going to have good ice this year. So it's been a couple of bad years in a row, man. And, a lot of people bought a lot of this product. And, the nice thing is this isn't just for ice fishing. You can use this year round. I mean, if you're not using your flasher year round, I get it. But a lot of times people are using these forward-facing sonar, using them for deer cameras and everything else. So it's a year-round product. But this year I'm predicting good ice. I mean, I think everybody is. And I'm kind of praying for that. So especially all of you that, like I said, I don't get to get out as much, but for everybody else out there in the industry, we need a good year.
Okay, so we have a question here from James,
Sure.
And he has a Helix 7. So I know you talked a little bit about Vexlars and some of the new live units, but something in the middle like a Helix. Do you have something for that, and how long will a battery last?
Yeah, like your Helix 5, Helix 7s, they're very popular. Markham's got a lot of digital screen, format, sonars out there as well. And you're starting to see a lot of people using their standard 5 and 7 inch. So Helix 7, Helix 5, and, the 7, I'd say 7 to 9 inch screens, we have a 15 amp hour battery. So very small form factor, just like your stock battery that would come, lead acid would come with it. This will give you up to 3 times the amount of runtime that your lead acid battery would. Something like that is under $100. So $99.99. So we'll call it $100, right? For a 15 amp hour battery. And it's been one of our top sellers for smaller ice fishing units since we released that a few years ago. And we'll have those, definitely have a lot of those that are at our shows. Another one too, the highest capacity in that same form factor as that 15 in your traditional 7 and 9 amp hour batteries. They're 19 amp hour. This is a 14.8 volt battery. This has also become very popular. This with a charger is $169.99, but that's the highest capacity battery in its size out in the industry today. And Helix 7, like this 15 amp hour battery, you're looking at like 20 plus hours. Something like this is, going to give you closer to that 25, 30 hours of operation. So something that easily gets you through an entire weekend.
And we were almost okay.
Yeah. So say? I was actually just gonna. So you just showed us 2 batteries with different amp hours in the same in the same case essentially. Would there ever be an advantage to having something with less amp hours in a size? So I know that you still have an 8 amp. Yeah, you still have one of those. So what would be the advantage of having something with less amp hours versus the more amp hours in the same size?
Right. So like I have, because I could put any one of these 3, all the way up to 19 amp hours in my Vexilar, right? Reason why I put the 8 amp hour in there, or for those of you previously, it was 7.5 amp hours. Now it's 8. It's just the weight. It is really the only difference. The higher the amp hours, it's kind of like the size of your fuel tank in your vehicle, right? So, 8 amp hour battery, it's like having an 8-gallon tank versus a 15-gallon tank in the 15 or the 19-gallon tank. So even though the batteries themselves are the same size, as you go to a higher capacity battery, they're typically going to be heavier. So I like the fact that this is 2 pounds, or under 2 pounds, 15 amp hours, right around 3 pounds, and the 19 amp hours, a little bit more than 3 pounds. But that just an extra 1 pound like a Vexilar, or 1.5 pounds in a Vexilar to me, it makes a world of difference when you pick that thing up. And it's just a lighter battery. Plus, like an 8 amp hour battery in a Vexilar, you're looking at like 40 hours of operation. So it's going to give you a weekend anyway. So that's why I do that. Plus price too. I mean, an 8 amp hour battery, it's $55, is full retail price on that. It's a tough battery to beat for just a traditional replacement.
And I think that was what I was going to bring up too, is that this is a great, don't feel like you're missing out on anything by getting something in the 8 amp hour range when you see a 19 sitting there, even though they're the same, case, because if you don't have any of the products yet, this is a great way to get your feet wet with it, test it out, throw it in your Vexilar, and just like, there's something to be said when you say, oh yeah, you can have 40 hours of continuous runtime with it. But until you experience that, until you're out ice camping and you can literally stay up all night, leave your Vexilar on all night, all day, go fish, hole hop, come back, fish during the night, and it's still running when you go to pack up. It's crazy, like how it actually hits you. Like, oh, I haven't charged that. I've actually been charging my phone off of that thing. I've been doing other things with it, and it's still running. And so I just think that if you're thinking about it, like, don't be afraid of the price or the size of the battery. Start small, and you're gonna love it. So then you can start, kind of planning your stuff out. And let's face it, we're never gonna end out and be out of uses for batteries. So even if you do upgrade, you still have that 8 amp hour one sitting around. You can put it in a power box. You can put it in, other little capacities for lighting or for fans or, anything that you have. It won't go to waste. It's just a good way to get into the game.
Yeah. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. But a comment just came in and James says, sounds like something I need for tournament fishing. But I think you're not wrong. But the reason I'm bringing that comment up is because almost like what you brought up in the first place, it's about using the right tool for the right situation. if you're doing a tournament that you just need one strong day of,
Mhm.
get that really super lightest battery that you possibly can, because you're going to get that runtime. But exactly where you would end up is also if you're the kind of person who's instead ice camping and you're going to go out somewhere for an entire weekend and nothing is going to get charged, you are still going to be able to have that option depending on the battery that you choose. And that's why I'm always like, I'm intimidated by you and your table and all your things, because it's so much, but it's not. It's just about finding that right tool for the situation.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like, there you see because of forward-facing sonar. I mean, you see the larger batteries, and that's the only reason why we have, more than just these smaller ones. So don't be intimidated by that. Like if you see us at the show, come up, talk to us, or check out our website, and we've got a ton of good information out there. Reach out to us. We're happy to talk about this stuff. But yeah, there's it's not a one size fits all type industry or battery type thing. That's why we have so many options. So we kind of want to fill all those gaps out there. But I mean, and really this year our batteries are more accessible, I think, than any year past. So we're going to be at so pretty much all your big shows, right, for ice fishing, available. Scheels, Reed's, Thorne Brothers, a lot of your major sporting goods stores now are carrying our products. So they'll have these there. They'll have knowledgeable staff. So definitely stop in, one of those places. Plus we have our operating time charts there too. So, it's our operating time charts are just real slick. So say if you have, like in that example, a Helix 7, you can go down and see Helix 7, and then you can look at all the different battery options. It'll tell you which ones will fit into it, how long they're going to last per charge, and makes the decision pretty easy.
Well, and I know we're talking a little bit about ice here, but I want to touch on how high regard you hold customer service, because we were working with you last year, and we got some lithium batteries to replace the 2 front batteries in our boat.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually just went ahead and got an amped onboard charger as well. And that required me to rewire my whole boat. So I had to go through and take all the old stuff out and put all the new stuff in. We have something on our YouTube about it. Pretty rudimentary, just kind of walk through what I was doing. But one of the best, where I'm going with this, is that I emailed you a question because I had finished everything up. I was just cleaning everything up, and something just wasn't quite right. And I emailed you a question, and I started putting my stuff away because I was like, oh, it's going to take them a little bit. I'll just put the boat away. And like within 10 minutes, you replied back to my email already, and you were like, oh yeah, that's just this. Like just switch this around, and then it should be good. And I was like, man, that's so awesome, because I was able to switch that. Everything worked. It's been working great since then. Like Emily and I took a week vacation. We were like trolling all over the place.
You would not, okay. The amount of wind that we had on vacation that we were, and so like the lights on the boat and all the graphs on the boat and the wind and the trolling motor and everything. And it was all like running at top power. And honestly, there were times in previous years before lithium that we had our battery like shut down because it was drawing too much power. And that's honestly can be dangerous. I don't mean to be dramatic, but honestly, when all of your electronics like shut down and you're not expecting it, and it's like, if you don't know the water that well, like you hope that you're not by rock piles, you hope that you're not by shore, you hope, all those things. And we weren't, so we were fine, but to have that peace of mind that everything was still working in those conditions, honestly, that was crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's great to hear. We pride ourselves on our customer support. Now I can't guarantee I'll get back, or one of our staff members will get back to you within 10 minutes, but we've definitely beefed up our staffing as we've grown and, gotten larger. So we've got a pretty good support team here. In fact, got a new support member starting with us tomorrow. We're really excited about. So it's going to be a lot of heavy training, but we're pretty excited about that. And yeah, I mean, that's our goal, and that's, the way it should be. I've been a customer service person, for Well, it's been over 20 years since I've been working, or out of college. So, customer support, I think, is always key to any business, and to be able to support the product that you have, answer questions. And, that's how we've been able to grow. We're not the biggest marketing company out there. You don't see us spending, the amount of money of some others and, marketing and trying to pull your attention, or, see ads of us all over the place. But where we kind of like to put our money into the support side of it. And I think people really appreciate that. And we've grown through word of mouth. So all of you out there running our products, we appreciate that. And I think that's a key to longevity within this industry is to make sure that you're supporting what you're putting out there. So thank you for the good and kind words, and I'm glad your experience has gone well. But I mean, that's the way it kind of is, our needs and fishing habits have changed over the years. So we need to adapt to that. And I think, the lithium batteries has been probably the second biggest thing in the marine industry or the fishing industry, next to the advancements in sonar technologies. So they kind of go hand in hand.
Well, and I think, Emily had brought up a good point, and this bounces right off of what you just said. I think when if for those of you out there that aren't familiar with lithium and how it works, what Emily was saying is, like, we didn't lose power the whole time, and she may have been speaking to longevity, but it triggered something in my thoughts where with lithium, you get, pretty close to 100% of power output all the way until you drop, it goes completely dead. So you're not experiencing that, like, load curve or whatever you call it, the draw curve, where, you start losing power the further down you get. And then you have to, like, for a trolling motor, for instance, you have to crank up, you have to be on a higher speed to get the same amount, of thrust. And so I think that's an important thing to talk about. So you kind of want to walk us through how that works with the lithium stuff?
Yeah. So with, like, lithium iron phosphate, the 12.8 volt batteries that we have, so a traditional lead acid battery, might charge 12.8, 13 volts. And then as you're using it throughout the day, it slowly drops in voltage till it gets down to, like, 10 and a half volts. And that's where the battery is essentially fully depleted. With a lithium iron phosphate battery, 12.8 volt, they'll charge, about 13.5 volts. But as you're using it, it'll sit pretty close to 13 volts the entire time you're using it. So it's like a fully charged lead acid battery, but it's like all day long, the entire time you're using it. So, on your electronics, you see 13 volts all day. So you don't have to worry about that, the low voltage where you lose image quality and all that. With your trolling motors, in your case, if you set that thing on speed 5, it's going to sit there and go the same speed all day long. You're not having to bump that up 7, 8, 9, 10, right, to maintain that speed as you're going, because the voltage stays the same. And it does that really until the battery's almost fully depleted. Once that battery starts to, within the last, like, 5 to 10% of its capacity, it'll drop in voltage drastically. So you have to be careful there too, because, like, your trolling motor might read that it's a fully charged battery all day long, and all of a sudden it shows it's dead, because that's, they're made to work with lead acid batteries and monitor that. With a lithium, it's kind of the same. Very, very different. It'll stay full all day, and then when it dies, like, it dies quick.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why it's important to, like, read those time charts that we have and all that. But like I was saying, a lithium battery, you can fit 2 or 3 times as much capacity or operating time inside of the same size battery as you could with the lead acid. That's why they're so much more efficient. You get that longer operating time. You get the more years of service out of it. And you kind of mentioned earlier, price point. Yes, it is a little bit higher. Lithium is going to cost more than lead acid, but I look at it as a small, upfront investment. Once you invest that money into it, it pays for itself in the long run, because you get up to 5 times the life expectancy out of lithium versus lead acid. So you have that advantage as well. But no, you're spot on. The performance wise, I think that's what catch most people. Once you see the performance and use one of these, it's really tough to ever go back to anything else because you see how well they perform. And that consistent voltage all day long is key, especially in our industry.
What I was sitting here thinking, honestly, is another place that I've seen it make a huge difference is, you were talking about our boat and everything. And because we took those old batteries out and they were so heavy, and then we put these in, and then honestly, our boat sits different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it seems silly that it would make that much difference, but it's like, man, it really, so I was just sitting here honestly appreciating the things that you were saying, thinking like, yeah, it makes a huge difference. I don't know. I'm sorry. I was just listening. But while we're on these topics, I mean, this is important. You were talking about switching out the wiring in the boat and all that, because this is not necessarily like your traditional charger. So what I hear online, a lot of people that have like their old Vexlar charger and they try to plug it in, right? And so that's something that you don't want to do. You actually want to use a lithium charger for this.
Yeah, it's important. So it's a very small investment. So like our chargers, we sell for $20. And, some of our batteries are 14.8 volt NMC batteries. Will include a charger because they're a higher voltage battery than batteries than the others. But just one of our simple chargers, they're $20 for a lithium charger. Just get that with the battery. Lithium batteries are much different than a lead acid. They charge at different voltages. They can charge faster, so our chargers are faster. Like a Vexlar charger is usually like up to 1 amp, where our charger is anywhere from 3 to 6 amps. So you can charge them significantly faster. They hold a lot more capacity. They charge at a higher voltage. They have safety protection built into them. So, if your battery fully depletes, the battery will shut itself down. Our chargers will reset them. So I spend that $20. It'll work. You buy that one charger, should work for any of our other batteries and other brand batteries out there. So, it's a one-time investment. Make that investment, and it should be pretty much, trouble and issue free going forward. But yeah, we do troubleshoot far too many times. People, not buying the right charger for them, and that's always the first thing we go to. Is 9 out of 10 times somebody has an issue with the batteries because it's a charger related issue. Yeah.
And then while we were talking about loving our batteries, I know you gave us a million reasons that these are not just a one season thing, but for some people, they do let them sit on the shelf. And we used to hear in the ice fishing forums, once a month, charge your batteries. Is that something that we still need to do with these?
Yeah. So the biggest issue that I see is if you're going to store it for a long period of time, people in the past, you'd either do one of two things. You either leave them connected to your electronics. So, that's one thing I would do, before I many years ago when I was running lead acid batteries, that Vexlar was done for the season. I just took that thing and put it on the shelf, right? So a lot of your electronics will just draw power even when they're not in use. So if I have one of these batteries and I put my unit up on the shelf for 6 to 10 months, that battery can easily fully deplete or be drained down. So that's why a lot of times people with lead acid batteries, like when you go to use them the next season, you find out, oh boy, it doesn't charge anymore, doesn't work at all, doesn't last as long as it used to. It's probably because it got drained down too low. So what I would say is that if you're going to store them, make sure your electronics are not attached. That's in your boat, trolling motors, fishing electronics, whatever it happens to be. If you're going to store it for a long period of time, make sure nothing's attached to it. The other piece is make sure you don't store them fully depleted. So, put a charge on them at least 50%. And we've got a great video on our website and, different voltages to tell you, what's above 50% in a battery. But, I'd say, like in a standard battery, 13.2, 13.3 volts, charge it up to that, pull electronics from it, let it sit. People oftentimes will leave their chargers attached to their batteries. That's really not needed. So with a lithium battery, as long as you don't have anything attached to it, they only have like at the maximum at like a 2% self-discharge rate per month when in storage. So if you go 6 months, you might only lose 12% of your battery capacity. So it's very minimal. But it is nice to keep a battery active, no matter what type of battery it is, lead acid, lithium. Try not to go more than, I'd say like every 3 months, maybe throw a charge on it for 10, 15 minutes, or, at least every 6 months to keep that battery active.
Oh gosh, going 6 months. I wish ice season came around more often than that. Okay, awesome. So I am looking in the comments section, and honestly, there's just a lot of people who love you. So shout out for that. We do have somebody asking, what are the cranking amps for boat batteries?
Well, I mean that's kind of a tricky question. Like most boats can vary in cranking. Lithium batteries do not have a cold cranking amp rating on them. Some lithium battery companies will mark that on their batteries, and lithium batteries have like a maximum amperage output. So we sell one dual purpose, which is a cranking / deep cycle battery, 130 amp hour. A boat on average, 100, 150 amps required for cranking. But you'd have to check with your boat outboard motor manufacturer, because right now it's only Mercury and select models that recommend using lithium batteries for cranking. I don't use it on my boat. It's just your alternators, your stators, and other your charging systems for a lot of these motors, especially older motors, were made for lead acid batteries, and lithium. Lithium have low internal resistance. You can get really into detail on it, but you could overwork the charging systems, or they may not be compatible. So check to make sure that your battery is compatible. But we have a 130 amp hour battery that has 900 amp cranking capability, and we've sold a lot of them this last year. And have not had a single issue with that, but just make sure that your boat motor is compatible when doing it. All of the other batteries are deep cycle with lithium, as most lithium batteries are kind of a deep cycle, not a high current type battery system. Yeah. That's why you don't find them in cars
Yeah.
or other high current type applications. You really have to get into the higher capacities to do it, because lithium iron phosphate was never really made to be, which is your most common 12.8 volt is going to be lithium iron phosphate. They were made for energy storage, not necessarily for higher current. That's why your drill batteries are not typically lithium iron phosphate. Your RC car batteries are lithium polymer, because you can put a lot of power into them and take a lot out of them quickly. Lithium iron phosphate is not really made for that, but we've been able to adapt some of the technologies to do it.
Awesome. It looks like there's a few more comments coming in here, so we're going to let them come in. If anybody else has questions or comments or things, we're not quite at the end of the show, but this would be the time to get them in. But while we're here, I have to say there is something else on the table that we have not talked about yet. So
I didn't want to forget about it.
We're not going to forget.
We won't
We're not going to forget.
So this is a portable power station that we came out with this year. And I just pulled this one off the shelf. So it's at 41%. I don't know if you can see the little screen on, but it's got a little digital screen on the front. This is our smaller version. It's essentially about like I would say equivalent to like a 12 volt, 50 amp hour battery. And then we have one double that size. But this is pretty cool because it'll tell you, it's got a good information on it. It'll tell you your percentage of stuff. It's got the 12 volt socket on the front. And then these are your charging ports. And then your AC outlets. So there's 2 plug outlets on here to run AC devices. Our larger one is 4. And it's got several USB connections, USB-C. So this is really cool for whether you're camping, if you're going to be ice camping, or just out and about. I've been using these a ton over the years, and they're very convenient. If I'm working way out in the yard where I cannot bring an extension cord, I've used my larger one with Sawzall and other power tools. So it's just basically, it's a great alternative to like having a generator. You don't have the noise, you don't have, to carry gasoline. And no, they're pretty slick. It's got a light on the back of it. So yeah, pretty cool, lightweight units. So we came out with our own one this year. We're going to have these at shows. We have them on our website. You're not going to find these at retailers yet. This is kind of a test year to see how well they do. One advantage of ours versus others that you find out there today is the charge rate. So one of these, if fully depleted, like a lot of companies out there could take 8 hours to fully recharge. Ours will recharge in an hour and a half. So real fast recharge times. Yep. So actually sent a couple of them down south, for some hurricane relief stuff. So I've had some people going down there that are going to be using them. But no, I think these are going to be pretty popular, and the ice camping, the camping, and everything else going on. Deer camp right around the corner as well. If you don't have power, it's great. It's just a great alternative to a traditional gasoline powered generator.
That's awesome.
I am honestly, I mean, I don't mean to say I'm speechless, but I'm like, I can't think of a single reason that somebody wouldn't use that. So.
Right. Yeah. So,
okay, so that's like super fun. Does it have a handle on the top?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little handle.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. The other one has the larger one that kind of have handles on the sides to carry them because it is, double the size. But we came out with just the two models. We've tested, a couple of other sizes, but I think these two we're going to start off with and see, how they go. But we'll have them at the shows, so people can kind of play around with them. And no, I just love them for, I'll take them out on the boat for charging phones, GoPro cameras. I kind of brought, used them for, I don't know, you'll find different applications to use them for, but.
Okay, do you know this is the silliest thing. I've been on an endless search of how to make coffee when you're ice camping, or because honestly, it takes so much energy to boil water. And so when you're trying to bring a hot pot or a coffee maker or I know that there's traditional methods and boiling water and percolators and all of that. But then am I starting a fire in my shack? Am I still just the amount of energy that takes to do this? And so, one of the reasons this is so exciting to me is this is like that. Okay, honestly,
there's your sales pitch, Matt. Make coffee while you're camping.
Well, because not to be like this, right? Because I'm sure that there's women that watch us. I'm sure that there's men out there. I'm sure there's all different kinds of people, right? But I think that the people who are ice camping are typically dudes, right? And they want to bring their wives, come with me. This could be kind of fun, and it is kind of a crazy thing to do, so it's hard, right? But I'm saying if you can offer the comforts of home, okay, if I could plug in an electric blanket overnight and then make coffee in the morning, who wouldn't go ice camping?
So our larger one, depending on the coffee pot. So anytime you're dealing with heating elements like that, because I've been asked about that, like microwaves, coffee pots, and anything that has a heating element that heats up will draw a lot of electricity. So that'd be the only downside. So our larger one would work as long as you're using it shorter periods of time. You're not going to draw it down too much. But no, you could definitely draw them down a lot faster. And you could technically bring a coffee pot out. I know personally, I like a good percolator.
I'm not against it. I just really like coffee. And
right.
I just am always looking for I don't know. I don't like to drag a million things. I'm just always looking for an easy option. I guess dragging a coffee maker probably doesn't sound like the easiest option. I don't know. I've just been looking. This is where I'm at, people. This is my real life.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. And it gives, not many people have AC power, out on the ice. And last year when I did some live feeds and all that, I would basically have one of these with my laptop hooked up so I could do, a live streaming thing. And of course, GoPros powered off of it. And you got 2 AC ports on this one, 4 on the other. So, you can really bring whatever you wanted out on the ice with you or camping with you. And there's really not a whole lot of limitations. In the past, what you had to do is you either had to have a generator or you'd have to have, a battery with a power inverter, everything else hooked up to it. So yeah, it's pretty slick. Used similar setup when I was out in the ice last year to power, TV out, out on the out in a rental shack that we had, a sleeper shack that we had, powered a TV to, to watch football games. So no, it was there's a lot of different things you could use them for.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
We do have a comment asking for the price.
Something like this is $369.99. It's new product, so I'm still don't have everything memorized. The other one is the big 1500 watt one is $849. I'm sorry, $749. $749. So
You just
not too
made it
bad.
sound
No,
like it
compared to
was
what's
like a
out there.
sale.
Yeah. The quality of the components in this versus a lot of them that are out there and the fast charge times. It definitely stands apart, from what's out there. And I mean, these have the capabilities, connections and stuff to hook up, solar power. So if you have a solar panel, this has a charge controller built into it. So this will connect any solar panel for charging, connect it to generator for recharging if needed. And I mean, there's a lot of cool add-ons to it.
Sweet.
Mhm.
That is actually really sweet. Oh my goodness. This is awesome. So for people who are able to come to the expos, you are going to be there also.
Yes.
And we're looking forward to seeing you and all of these cool things. I guess for people who cannot come to the expos, you do have a whole Facebook page, and I'm gesturing as if the people at home can see it, but you can't because it's my other screen. But I think Josh is going to put the website into the comment section. So if you are watching from Facebook or YouTube or wherever you are, maybe this is a podcast later on. Well, if it's a podcast, you cannot click that link. But it looks like ampedoutdoors.com is that link. And if you are watching us live, then you can click that. And otherwise, it looks like there's a bunch of people who are going to come and visit your booths at the expo. And so that is going to be very exciting.
Yeah, we look forward to it. It's going to be the venue this year at the Wisconsin, the Ice Fishing Expo. Last year was amazing, but the venue this year I think is going to be outstanding. If you haven't seen the show last week, check it out. Down it was wealth of information no, I'm really looking forward to that. But of course, we're at other shows too. So yeah, wherever you're able to make it. We'll be posting prior to the shows which events we're going to be at. Come talk to us. They don't even, I mean, we're not salespeople pushing stuff on you. So if it's just talking the technology, you want to get a little bit more familiar with it, we'd love to earn your business down the road. Otherwise, we'll have some great deals at the shows.
That is awesome.
Mhm.
And thank you so much for being available to be here with us tonight and talk about all of the stuff. It's been really a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's always fun. This show is always the kickoff for us for the ice fishing season. So thank you very much. I think I need a little break from the open water stuff. So I appreciate that much. And like I said, we're gonna have good ice this year. So everybody, stay safe and look forward to see you out either whether out on the water or at a show. Yeah, stop by and say hi.
Perfect. I guess I couldn't have said it better myself. So to the people at home, thank you guys for being here as well, because that is always a big part of the fun. And if you are watching this after and you still have questions, put that in that comment section because we'll still try to get back to you. Otherwise, we're looking forward to seeing everyone at this year's edition of the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo.
Night, everybody.